Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial that I hopefully will be doing more tutorials, things like this. This is the mountain range that we will be drawing. Before I start, I just want to say please subscribe, like, or comment if you have any um, ideas, because I hear that helps with YouTube. So hope to see you in the future videos. The first thing to get into it is drawing the perfect terrain and how you want your mountain range to be. As you can see, this is the curve that I'd like the mountain range to be, and then as you can see, I drew some triangles for the main bigger mountains, and then I drew some edges for each one of them to make it a little bit more rugged, to give it some detail. And after you have that, you add some little small mountains here and there around each one of them. Doesn't have to be a perfect um, triangle, of course. The more detail you have, the more realistic it looks. And then as you can see, I draw some round hills, just to kind of fit with the terrain so that it kind of blends in with the terrain that's around the mountains. After that is done, I add these small ridges here, as you can see, for the bigger ones, for the main and bigger ones that you can see, and then I add some details with the little dots and kind of curves that shows you how the ridge goes around and about the mountain range. As you can see, these are the details that I'm adding, and it's up to you if you want to add it in yours or not. But the more you have, the more realistic it looks, obviously. And I like to add them in my maps, as you will see in the future videos. Hopefully, if I see you in the future videos, you'll see that I add a lot of these details in the mountain ranges. A lot of them. Sometimes I draw them differently, but this is my favorite way of doing it, obviously. And there's a lot of people that like to do it different ways. This is the way it works for me, and I think it looks nice. And as you can see here, I still keep adding the smaller details for each one of them in here. And just you can add that to, you can also add it to the hills, the smaller hills that you're seeing on the sides, but I like to do it for the bigger mountains. And then the hills, you can add some smaller dots on one side of each one of them to kind of give it the shading that we will later go to, which is the next step, adding a little bit of the shading to the actual mountains to show you kind of which way the sun is hitting it, which way the light is coming from, basically. Let's call it that. As you can see, I'm still putting in these smaller details on the ridges, and as you can see, it looks much better now than it was before with the little triangles. And so that's what I have here. And keep going, and I'll keep doing this. And I don't know if you can notice, I'm still putting these smaller dots on the sides. I took out the little guiding, let's call it the guiding curve that we don't need, and I started doing the fun part of it, which is basically adding the shading to one side of the ridge, which is the side that, for example, would be opposite to where the sun or where the light is coming from. And that's the main thing to do here, and this is where it starts to take shape. You can This is where it starts to take shape, and this is where you can see what it's going to look like at the end. But then obviously, just like adding the details to the ridges, adding the details to the highlights, or let's call it to the shading, also adds a lot of kind of makes it more realistic. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see it very clearly here in the video, but what I'm doing here is I'm going around the little ridges with kind of darker shadow to make the kind of the edges kind of stand out, or let's just call it highlighting the edges. And you can see for the little hills, I added the little kind of dots. So that's basically the way I do my mountains. There's other ways. Hopefully I'll do more tutorials, and I'll see you here. Please drop a comment for any ideas or tutorials you'd like to see. Kind of quick draws, speed drawing videos that you'd like to see. Comment and subscribe. I would love to see you back in the other videos. I hear that helps with the YouTube algorithm. So hopefully we'll see you in the future ones, and hopefully this kind of mini series that I'm going to be doing here is going to be helpful. Thank you very much.